How's everybody doing? DCU Realism Part 3. That's what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be very interesting. Let's get into it. Psalms 140 says, "Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagines mischief in their heart. Continually they gather together for war. They have sharpened their tongues as like a serpent. Adder's poison is from their lips." Selah. This is a very, very relevant piece of scripture for today. Let's get into it. So we're talking about the DCEU. Leave your comments in the chat section. There's a chat section right there. This is a live stream. You can interact with me. You can interface with me. We're going to be talking about the DCU, but we're going to talk about realism again, folks. I want to show you just how much, I kind of scratched the surface on the realism of the DCEU. I want to really go deep. I want to deeply delve into the realism and just the depths of the realism of the DCEU today. I'm only going to use one example, but it's going to be more than enough. It's going to be so relevant to what we have to say. And this scripture is talking about that as well. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Shout out to T&J Ayala, by the way, my brother. You keep it coming, man. And I just want to say I appreciate you. I also appreciate Dave Ethan, who I've been working with on Twitter as well. Other members of the DCU, I would love to meet you guys in person as well. You seem to be very, just the qualities some of you guys have tells me that you are very, very good people to know and to be around. And I'm pretty honored to know you guys. Let me just say that I appreciate you. Anyways, there is a song I'm still going to be promoting a bit. It's a song that I put out. It's a piece of music I want you guys to see. It's called "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." It is based off of the Negro spiritual, and basically it basically is the Negro spiritual, but there is more to it than meets the eye. And I would love to break that song down to anybody who wants to know what was going through my head about that song. But I would like you guys, if you do and you are patronizing this channel and you continuously come here to listen to DCEU stuff, I would suggest very strongly, if you're someone who is actually looking at everything and the scheme of things in life and what is going on in current issues, I would ask you to go check out that song, because it's on a totally different level in many respects in terms of how we should approach life, how we should perceive life. So I want you guys to check that out, and that would be very nice. I really appreciate it. I'll give a plug up for the song again at the end of this video. But let's get into what we're going to really talk about today, which is DCEU realism. And for me to do that, I need to go into screen share and show you guys what it is we want to talk about. All right, so here we go. So I'm in screen share right now, and let me start off with something that some of you guys are going to chuckle a little bit. Heroic Hollywood reported that Kevin Feige thinks DC should follow Richard Donner's Superman's pathway so that they can have the success that they need. Now, Kevin Feige, as we all know, it's not hidden away from us. It's kind of plain that he was an understudy for Richard Donner. I actually worked with him on a number of different projects, because Richard Donner is known for also the movie Lethal Weapon. And Richard Donner is known for doing many different movies, and he's done a pretty good job. He's been successful with quite a few movies that he's done. He hasn't had so much success in other movies that he's done. But suffice it to say, Kevin Feige, who is sort of the brainchild behind the MCU, which is Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's saying that DC should follow Richard Donner's Superman's pathway, as Kevin Feige has approached his movies in that way. Now, if you don't know anything about Richard Donner, I will just break down. I'll break down a couple of things about him. I just bit my tooth, and it seems that my tooth's trying to break loose or something. Anyway, yeah, so Richard Donner, he mixes comedy with seriousness in his movies. He tries not to take his lead characters too seriously, and at the same time, he has a certain degree of different elements that he will add to a movie. So he's all about the cinematic experience, and what he does to make movies enjoyable, his main protagonists have sort of kooky parts about them, and he always has this comedy intertwined with his major characters. He does not really bask in reality. He's not a realist. So Richard Donner is not a realist. He's an entertainer. So what Richard Donner will do is he will create these worlds. Even if you look at Lethal Weapon, you know, it's a world. It's not realistic. Okay, this is not what real police would do. This is not what real police. But he makes it entertaining by taking that real world and he puts a veil of Hollywood on it. And he uses the Hollywood stereotypes that people may have, and he has fun with it. Okay, that's what Richard Donner does. So Kevin Feige saying that DC should approach their movies like Richard Donner did. Now, here's a couple of things I want to say to people who say that and follow Kevin Feige's vein, because people love, they say, well, you know, there's not enough laughs and it's not light enough and stuff. Kevin Feige, and all credit to him with the MCU, has been very successful with the MCU when you look at everything that has been said and done. When Joss Whedon came out with the Avengers, it is basically taking the Richard Donner code and carrying it across in a much more diluted way into the Avengers movie. And from the Avengers onward, Iron Man as well to some degree, not really, but the Avengers movie onwards, this was the approach. And Disney took took over the distribution for these movies and got the license for them. And from there on in, there's been jokes galore. Now, what Kevin Feige has to understand, which is why he's not qualified to speak on what the DCEU should be. What Kevin Feige needs to understand is not everyone appreciates the MCU, and not everyone appreciated Richard Donner's movies. All right? And that's something that Kevin Feige has not factored in to why Justice League has been bashed so relentlessly. Okay, the DCEU is supposed to be an alternative to the MCU. It's not supposed to copy the MCU. Kevin Feige, you were good. You copied the Donner Superman pathway, and that's what you did. Okay, fine. All well and good, Kevin Feige. But guess what, Kevin Feige? There is a bunch of people out there who actually don't really feel your MCU movies. They actually don't like them. In fact, they resent them. In fact, there is a demographic out there that doesn't watch your movies. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, Infinity War, that $2 million movie, guess what? I didn't watch it. I didn't pay to watch it. You know why, Kevin Feige? Because I thought it was a bunch of shit. Yes, Kevin Feige. Now, Black Panther, I ended up watching it by accident, and I actually enjoyed it, and I realized this is something of substance. But of all of those MCU movies, and there are countless of them, very few I find on the level of the DCEU movies. Why? Because I wasn't watching comic book movies, Kevin Feige. While I was doing research in a lab, I didn't have time to watch comic book movies. They weren't worth my time. In fact, when people go for the 9 to 5 and they start getting engrossed in the reality of this life, guess what, Kevin Feige? They think comic book movies are people dressed up in tights, banging things around. They think that's for kids. So there's literally a demographic out there, Kevin Feige, for your information, that don't watch your movies. They have not watched a single one because in their minds, it's not worth their time because it does not relate to their lives and what they're doing. That's right, Kevin Feige. Even though Infinity War has made $2 million, guess what? The majority of people who are serious and really take life seriously have not watched that movie. You probably could have made a lot more if you could have roped those people in, which means those people need something worth their time to watch. And it just so happens the DCEU, Kevin Feige, the DCEU affords that. And I will show you what I mean by realism, Kevin Feige, because a lot of people who are somewhat, you know, they are very dismissive about what people like myself say about realism, and the fact that the DCEU embraces realism. And they say, oh, there's no such thing as realism. These are the guy's flying and the other guy, he's throwing thunderbolts and this guy's running faster than the speed of sound and stuff. That's not realistic. And you're very dismissive of these things, Kevin Feige and Company Limited. In fact, you poke fun of those things in your movies. Superman, Richard Donner's Superman, poke fun of it. He was spinning around the world backwards. And then You know, Lois Lane, she couldn't remember. She was like, I could put my finger on what I did. She couldn't remember what it was. Completely unrealistic. So you have to poke fun at those things and say, I'm aware this is unrealistic, folks. That's a joke. You know, you're self-aware that you're talking nonsense. But then again, Kevin Feige, it's just a bunch of people dressed in tights running around, right? Kevin Feige. That's why we don't watch it, Kevin Feige, because it's a waste of our time. Get it? That's why people are not interested in comic book movies until Man of Steel, where we have these discussions. Because for once, the comic book characters seem real to us because they've been brought into our world and they symbolize something deeper, something more, and something we can take with us into our daily lives. Kevin Feige. So DC, I don't think they should approach or try to follow Richard Donner's Superman's path. Because as far as I saw, Richard Donner's Superman's path ended up with box office flop after box office flop. For you guys that don't know, Superman 3 and Superman 4, the worst of the Superman movies, Superman 4, were all flops. Superman 2, which was pretty, you know, it had good story and stuff, just broke even. All right? The very first Superman movie was a novelty, which people had not seen before. But after that, they never did well. And just to prove my point, Superman Returns, which was perfectly in line with the classical Superman, bombed at the box office. Heavy. Worse than Justice League. Didn't even break even. Bombed in 2006, I think it was. Okay? And my point being, Kevin Feige, DC has tried that pathway you're suggesting. So unless you want to see the death of the DCEU, you keep on talking about that nonsense. Now, the MCU has thrived off of that, apparently. Don't know if I can say I enjoy that thought, because to me, it has wreaked havoc on the comic book industry. In fact, it has hurt the DCEU because the MCU has been successful at that. The reason being, people have become even more stupid than they have ever been in my life. And it's probably the reason why the rise of Trumpism happened, because people stopped listening to facts and trying to be in touch with reality and started to embrace fantasy, Kevin Feige, thanks to you and your MCU, okay? And the values you are preaching to people in your MCU, like the recent Infinity War, where people are actually being conned into the idea that this guy loved his daughter. He did not love his daughter, Kevin Feige. The Russo brothers did a horrible job of pointing that out. In fact, the Russo brothers are saying that the stone, the soul stone, was saying you had to, if you loved someone, then you had to kill them. You don't, if you love somebody, you ain't gonna kill them, folks, to get something. So that's not love, Kevin Feige. But a lot of people are arguing that it is. I had a good, intelligent friend of mine saying the soul said that he loved her, therefore he loved her. Oh my God. An intelligent person justifying murder, Kevin Feige. That's what you're doing. That's what your movies are doing, Kevin Feige. Giving people incentive to believe that they can murder other people. So it's not surprising, Kevin Feige, that there's a certain demographic of the population that is trying to validate little children under 2 years of age being encaged and separated from their mothers. Okay, Kevin Feige. Just saying, Kevin Feige. Yes, just laugh away. It's just a movie. Okay, now that's enough with Kevin Feige. Let's move on. So once again, no responsibility. It's all about the bottom end, the dollar sign. Huh? Sell out for the nearest dollar. Do things by committee, Kevin Feige. Oh, yes, we should just follow the Richard Donner model. Yeah, I guess that was done by committee. Huh? The committee decided that, Kevin Feige? So don't open your mouth on the DCEU, Kevin Feige. Stay in your lane. You're doing well. Stay there, okay? Because not everybody accepts your opinion. If it was so true, Kevin Feige, then Justice League should have crossed $1 billion easy. Should have been doing $2 billion, $3 billion. Because the guy that really got the DCEU, got the MCU off and rolling was Joss Whedon. I mean, what are you gonna say? Joss Whedon. And if I beg to put my input in there, Kevin Feige. I mean, I'm no movie maker, But it is true, Josh Whedon in his reshoots actually took away from Zack Snyder's feel of the movie Justice League. Kevin Feige. I'm just saying, he tried, but he was just not up to the standard of Zack Snyder. Now, I ain't mad at him for trying because Zack wasn't there, but I'm just saying there's a difference in quality now, Kevin Feige. All you got to do is watch the movie, Kevin Feige. I'm just saying, Kevin Feige. All right, Kevin Feige. Now, everybody, they be spinning it and saying Marvel got better CGI and stuff, but the king of Marvel, Joss Whedon, the guy that put Marvel on the map, the first Marvel film to cross $1 billion. Well, ensemble film. He actually made a Marvel ensemble. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, Kevin Feige. He couldn't do it. So why should I listen to you? Why? Why should Warner Brothers and AT&T listen to you, Kevin Feige? Why? So they can go broke? Because the people that support them don't like your movies, Kevin Feige. Most of them don't. If Warner Bros. Hasn't realized this yet, they're appealing to a different demographic that wants something more mature. Kevin Feige. So you can troll the DCEU if you want. Do those things. Yeah, go ahead. You got your fan base and everything. Go ahead. But don't tell the DCEU what to do. Don't. Don't do it. Without the DCEU's core support, the DCU will collapse because people didn't come to the DCU because of your movies, Kevin Feige, because they didn't like your movies, Kevin Feige. Okay. Black Panther, though, was dope. What Ryan Coogler did was awesome. And it was not because it was pro-black people. It was deeper than that. Yes, it had a lot of black salute to blackness and the black diaspora and people longing to be in Africa and all that shit. But at the end of the day, Kevin Feige, that's not the reason why Black Panther was so successful. It was more than that. It was speaking about the refugee crisis from both ends of the spectrum. It was speaking about nationalism versus globalism and the balance between that. It was speaking about morals and ethics and that legally someone could be in power like Donald Trump is, and yet morally and ethically he should not be there. It speaks about retribution, but how does one go about doing that? See, Kevin Feige, T'Challa was born free, but Killmonger was born in captivity and robbed of his birthright. Kevin Feige. See, it's deeper than the rubbish, like Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War. Russo Brothers haven't produced anything worth my time. People like to praise the Winter Soldier. I don't see that. I don't really see it. I can see the story. I can see it like Richard Donner. It has some story and stuff. But in terms of its worth, it has nothing to give us. See, realism also must have accompanied to it relevance, Kevin Feige. Relevance. I'll show you what I'm talking about, Kevin Feige. This one's for you, Kevin Feige. So, Batman v Superman, the so-called Kevin Feige worst comic book movie of all time, foreshadowed the most recent U.S. Supreme Court decision that happened just today. And the imagery is amazingly similar. Kevin Feige. See, Kevin Feige, the DCEU is about mythical people and maybe even mythical towns and cities in our world, Kevin Feige. Not a world of fantasy, not a world constructed and bends the rules of our world to fit a narrative, Kevin Feige. Now, I'm not saying that you can't approach a movie that way. Most movies are approached that way. They are analogies. They are metaphors of ourselves and our times, Kevin Feige. But Zack Snyder decided to do the opposite of that. He decided to tell our world as it is now, like most movies that are based on realism or on true stories or on documentaries are. Movies like Diamonds, I think it's called Black Diamonds, with Leonardo DiCaprio. Movies like, what's his name? Who was doing the surveillance with the CIA? I forgot what it's called. He's living now in Russia. Movies like the guy who had the airplane that landed in the Hudson Bay, Scully. Movies like that. Zack Snyder approached it that way. He approached it not as a comic book movie, typically as comic book movies are done, but he approached it more like Unbreakable, except Unbreakable is still stylized a bit. He approached it like our world, so that we visibly could see our world, viscerally and otherwise, with these heroes in it. And so Zack Snyder was able to discuss the topic of xenophobia. But not just xenophobia. Xenophobia, where the object of xenophobia, the alien, is seen to have power, reflective of our times. Because you see, Kevin Feige, in not too distant future, the minority will be the majority. Kevin Feige, this is unavoidable. This is something that is going to happen whether the United States is prepared for it or not. Women will have overtaken the workforce. Yes, automation will be at its all-time high, but the select 1% will have competition with the masses. Kevin Feige. That is the power. That is what Superman represented in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Kevin Feige. He represented power. And the people protesting him and hating him, as you can see in the signs, Kevin Feige, were the people that felt powerless, like the white, rich, old men who control most of enterprise in the United States of America right now, Kevin Feige. This is the realism. This is the reality of the situation reflected in Batman v Superman in 2016 and manifested in much great power June 26th, today of 2018, by the Supreme Court, where predominantly Republican old men, white men, have ruled 5-4 in favor of Donald Trump's ban over certain countries, the majority of which are Muslim countries. A banned travel ban, which was seen before and overruled by the Supreme Court 2 times before for it being under the grounds of prejudice. Kevin Feige. Just so that we understand ourselves. See, Kevin Feige, some people like to actually deal with issues in their movies. Not a fairy tale where the moral of the story is. No. But actual real issues to confront them head on. And Zack Snyder did that prophetically. In 2015, he saw the beginning of the storm. He knew the pulse in the United States of America, and that this disgruntled set of people who realized that their privilege was drying up. Not the poor white masses which are being manipulated right now. Those poor white people are stirred up by racial tensions to separate the Americans, to divide us, Kevin Feige. To divide us, Kevin Feige. And while you were and while Roman burns, you weren't adding anything. See, even the comedians today are still speaking truth more than your movies are, Kevin Feige. You have a blind fan base that backs you. Great for them. And they are rabid against the DCEU and anything DC. A lot of them, including people in the media that you have on your side, Kevin Feige. But see, Kevin Feige, when you come out boldly and say it should pattern itself after Richard Donner's Superman, because you did it. See, the difference between you and us is, Kevin Feige, we're tired of seeing Richard Donner's Superman. We're tired of being in a dream world. It's time for us to wake up, Kevin Feige. Wake up. So while you trolling the DCEU, we making change. Now, I gotta admit, Black Panther is bringing about change and emboldening people, as Wonder Woman emboldened women. But primarily, Black Panther is not about just that, as Wonder Woman is not about just that. You hit it out the park with Black Panther. I'll give you that, Kevin Feige. But what I would say to you is this. We need more of those kind of movies today, no matter what people say and how they badmouth it and how the critics may badmouth it. Show some balls. Show some stomach. Get some courage to say the things that the masses don't exactly like. Kevin Feige, I admit I enjoyed Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Gutsy movie, and true to the Star Wars tradition as well, even though people wanted their heroes to be a certain way, because those are the stories that need to be told now. Hollywood has a responsibility for that. I don't care what anybody says. I know they're just entertainers. History will validate the director of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yes, people go into things to make money, but this is also art. And art must reflect our society. It is not something made by committee, Kevin Feige, patterning itself after former movies, Kevin Feige. It is something that must be done in integrity and respect for art, Kevin Feige, and must be unapologetic in the face of people who tend to be negative and want to tear it to shreds. Because when something is made truthful and honest, it will stand, Kevin Feige. So I just wanted to say that really forcefully and harsh. I want people to know that we all knew from a long time ago, blockbusters are generally made by committee. They're generally supposed to be fickle and empty and just entertainment, hollow entertainment. Make you feel good, eat your popcorn, go home. All right. That's how blockbusters usually are. We usually don't get substance films in blockbusters. But Zack Snyder was not a blockbuster director. He was a small film director and actually an indie film director. And he came with an anti-Hollywood approach to how movies would be made. And Patty Jenkins admired that, and she wanted to do Wonder Woman, and she was able to do a quality film because of this dude, because of what he represented. Now, you guys may have had vitriol in the industry against Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers, and you took it out with your pens. But guess what? Truth withstands all those things because it is timeless. It is eternal. And the more you barf and you throw your vitriol, guess what? The more it will vaporize in the smoke with time. And guys like Kevin Feige will get blown away with the wind. Just dust in the wind. Because you never added anything to people's lives. Realism. Realism is to be able to emulate realities of the world we are in today. Hyperrealism is the ability to create the illusion that certain things are possible and integrate those things in with the realities we have today. Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman was based on hyperrealism. We've seen hyperrealistic paintings where it's a painting, but it looks like the real thing. It's able to emulate that, create that illusion. And if you look at any one of Zack Snyder's movies, they look like paintings, especially the DCEU ones. Now, he's been a very stylized director for other movies like Sucker Punch, Watchmen, and 300. Dawn of the Dead was much more of hyperrealism, where it was much more a grounded film. But the point is, at the end of the day, Zack Snyder can do several different styles. But the important thing to understand about Zack, the Isles of Galhul had a certain degree of realism to it, and how the animals flew and how they behaved and so on, but they could talk. But yet the point is, so it's fantasy hyperrealism. But the point is, Zack Snyder is able to do many things. Zack Snyder directed a animated short film on 75 Years of Superman with Bruce Timm and Jay Oliver, right? He's able to do many different things. He's a very talented director. And the thing about Zack Snyder you have to understand, people, is to go down the well that is called Zack Snyder is to go down a very deep hole. The guy really thinks a lot, and he really cares about people. He doesn't care about Democrat and Republican and all that bullshit. He cares about people, humanity. He's a very caring guy, which is why he takes painstakingly takes his time to do these movies of love and care, and which is why he deserves to put out his cut of Justice League. And that's why I'm speaking directly to you, Warner Brothers. I'm speaking directly to Toby Emmerich. I'm speaking directly to the head of DC Films right now. I forgot what your name is. You guys can put it in the comment section or in the chat section. I'm speaking directly to AT&T. I am telling you guys what Zack Snyder started. You must continue. And in addition, you must release the Snyder Cut. I'm telling you, Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman are going to be grossly affected if you do not put out the Snyder Cut within the next couple of months. Try to strive for the finished cut of it. If you don't have the money, I guarantee you the fans of Zack Snyder will pull that money out of their pockets and make sure and raise that money, not only out of their pockets, but out of other donations to other people, to make sure that Zack finishes that film off before he goes on to any other project. It's very important that that film is finished for the trilogy. I will be the first to say I enjoyed to the max Justice League that I saw in the theater, bearing in mind that I knew there were shortcomings going into the movie. I listened to the soundtrack that Danny Elfman had. I knew it fell short of what Junkie XL was doing. I remember the sneak peek as if it was yesterday. And I know that what I saw on the screen and what I heard on the screen was not that. Okay? And so what I'm saying to you is, I appreciate all that you guys did to give us Justice League, Warner Brothers, AT&T, Toby Emmerich, what's his name? I forgot the guy. Well, he wasn't there. It was another guy that was there. Even Jeff Johns and All Company Limited, you tried your best, given that this is what you thought was the best that could happen. Fair enough. Now, give us the Snyder Cut so that we can build our confidence and trust in you. Whether people groan and moan about what could have been, and what was, and what could have been, that's okay. It was a Zack Snyder movie, so let us see the Zack Snyder movie. Wherever the direction was going, it's okay as well. Because guess what? We will adjust to whatever you show us in Aquaman, whatever you show us. And think of it as, we just wanted to see what the director had in mind. We understand you're going maybe a different direction. Fine. We can excuse you for that. But the one thing we cannot excuse is this is strike number 2, where you have advertised a movie one way and you gave us something else. Now, situations happen. with Zack Snyder, so we excuse you for the situation. But don't make this a habit. And in addition, if you really want us to be on the same playing field with you, you will give us that Snyder cut. People are saying, give us the incomplete cut. No, you must do better than that. You must give us, okay, give Zack Snyder the cut to do, release it, that is, and let him finish his cut. Now, if you cannot sponsor the money, fine, it's not a problem. Let Cruel and Unusual Films sponsor the money, fine. But we, the fans, let us know so we can sponsor you, Zack Snyder, if it's possible. I want to see this project done. Now, I don't know how you can get the actors back together. So you had to work with what you have to work with and just kind of forget the reshoots. You still had to compromise some things. But at the end of the day, we want what Zack Snyder had in mind for Justice League that we saw in the sneak peek trailer, and we want it soon. We don't want it 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, like the Richard Donner cut. We don't have time for that nonsense. We want it, and we want it soon. It is possible to do it now rather than later. And you will also do two things, Warner Brothers. Your core base will have some more trust in you. Some of them will be angry that they didn't see what, and they didn't see this, and they didn't see that. They'll get over it. The fact is they got the cut. Some of them will be bitchy and stupid, as they usually are. That's okay, too. The important thing is you already showed us a certain part where Superman went back to the ship and got his suit. It ticked me off, but I was glad that I saw it, and I have a copy of it. My point being, we are willing to forgive you, Warner Brothers, for this transgression, as we call it, transgression, if, that's for those of the if you release the Snyder cut. You have to do this now. It's not going to jeopardize nothing, but you must release it. You must release it. Okay? You must. Don't listen to Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige has his demographic. We are a totally different demographic to Kevin Feige's demographic. There are some of us who like both DC and Marvel. Some of us. Most of us that like the DCEU. Most of us that like the DCEU do not like the MCU like that. We've not watched it. We never really sponsored it. We probably want to watch 1, 2 MCU movies. Some of us never watched an MCU movie in our lives because we just didn't. It's not appealing to us. You have to understand you have a different demographic that enjoys different kinds of movies. And the sooner you understand that, is the better for you. You abandon that demographic, your universe will fall. It will fall, and royally. So, if I were you, I would take the advice I just gave you and listen to the other Zack Snyder fans and the other DCEU fans that talk to you about this. All right? I think that the DCEU has a certain degree of realism that they're sort of striving towards. Even with the magic in their world and stuff, they're striving for a certain type of realism. If you stay consistent to that, you will continually have, and especially the stories that you give, you will continually have DCEU fans. And the fan base will continue to grow and grow and grow because of the significance of each movie and what is there. This is not something where we are assuming anything. I'm showing you pictographically how deep this is, the connection. In fact, even the Supreme Court has a similar sort of design, you can see, to the Senate section of Capitol Hill and the Capitol building. So all I'm saying to you is to really think about what you are putting out there. If you really want money and to get more profit off of your investment, think about what you're doing. Zack Snyder has given you quality movie after quality movie. You compromised him with Batman v Superman by making him cut down his cut to a certain size, which was foolish. Foolish. What are you trying to regulate time for? Let the man put out the movie he's putting out. When you're done, don't hire him for any other movies. If you find the movies are too long, get a director that best suits you. But while he's directing the movie, give the man his credit for directing the movie. Let the man do the movie he intends to do. You hired him to do a certain movie, let him do it. If this wasn't Zack Snyder's movie, I wouldn't have a big deal. You know, David Ayer, the same thing you did to him. We had scenes in there with the Joker that would cut out the movie, and we saw them in the trailers. Don't do this to the directors. If you hired the directors to do X, Y, and Z, do not chop down their movies trying to get more plays in a day. You're only shooting yourself in the foot. You guys don't know about art and movies. Leave it to the directors once you hire them. That's why if you are looking for a certain thing, a certain sort of way of going about doing movies, fine. Get the directors you want for that. Make sure you select your directors wisely for the kinds of goals and outlooks you want. That's what I have to say to WB. Okay? Hopefully you've got the directors you really wanted for these movies now. Good. So I would suggest, WB, that you do your director selection properly. In the meantime, you don't mess with the director's vision. Once the director has started and completed 100% of the movie, don't mess with his stuff. Treat it like sacred ground. Make sure that you are true to his stuff. And if the other director is not skilled enough to do it, you may have to put off the film until the other director can come back and finish his work. It costs you dollars, but once you get a quality product, that's what counts. All right. You got to know what you are, WB. You got to know what it is, AT&T and WB. You got to know what you want and what you are. Otherwise, you'll always come up short. Come up short. So, Justice League, the Snyder Cut, I'm pushing for that. And again, these movies are generally realism. That's what has attracted me to these movies, and I've enjoyed them. There are a lot of shortcomings in Justice League, but I ignored those things because I said, okay, there was a different director there. There was a different musician. I knew it just couldn't, it wasn't going to happen. I was disappointed when I first heard Danny Elfman's score, and then I realized, you know what, it is what it is. Let's just go with it. Just hope it's not something which they're making fun of the characters. They didn't really make fun of the characters. They took it seriously. Superman was really great to see Superman back. It wasn't the best Superman comeback in terms of visual effects, but in terms of story, it really felt the absence of Superman. So it was very great when he came back, and it symbolized a lot. So I enjoyed Justice League for what it was. They kept a lot of Zack Snyder stuff in there. So it wasn't a total railroading of him. There was a lot of Joss Whedon stuff in there, but still, again, in little bits and pieces for the most part. So I wasn't too affected. It didn't feel like a Frankenstein, like some people are saying. It did not really feel like that for me. And I've seen it many, many times since then, and I've analyzed it countless times, and I've spoken about a lot of interesting things about it. Nonetheless, I am pretty sure it pales in comparison to what Zack Snyder had in mind and what he has already done. So if you guys can, Warner Brothers, let Zack Snyder finish his movie, and let's see it, okay? And we really, you know, we don't deserve it, but he does. He deserves it for all the things he went through, the loss of his daughter and everything, and it may be painful for him to come back, but I suggest very strongly he does and finishes that chapter and let it stand for posterity. That trilogy that is there, that is a fantastic trilogy already, but it needs to really get that finishing touch. The guy hasn't even watched the movie yet. So if I were you guys, Warner Brothers, I would suggest that you give this guy, let him finish this movie. The people who have been bashing Justice League, the current cut, I don't consider them fans. I don't care who they say they are. They're not fans of the DCEU. You don't bash your brand. You don't bash it. And I have not bashed it, and I will not bash Justice League, and I will not bash Warner Brothers for it. I think they tried their best with what they had. They came up short. And quite frankly, Warner Brothers, now's the time to get Zack to do his thing. Let him finish this thing off and let it get it put into home box office. And don't take a long, long time to do it. You got a couple months to do it, so get it done in a couple of months. Let's see it sometime next year. Let's see it sometime next year. While it's hot, get it done, okay? And it will be like an auxiliary. It'll be like, you know, those extra comic books on the side, you know, the comic book novels. You had a trilogy comic book novel. And if your continuity doesn't follow through with that, it's okay. We follow through with whatever you had as the theatrical cut. But do understand, I will be going with the Snyder cut from here on in when I'm showing Justice League. Doesn't mean that I won't keep a copy of the theatrical cut there for posterity, because I want to remember it, the controversy, the beautiful merging of two different, directors from two different sides of the aisle, the director that did both sides of the aisle, you know, the musical director and so on. It just represents to me unity. And so I love that. And I'm really glad that you guys took that risk on it. So I just want to say all of that just to let people know that I am not an enemy of Warner Brothers. I don't hate Warner Brothers. They've brought us way too many good movies for me to say that, and especially in the DCEU. They screwed up a couple places. I will be watching Aquaman. However, let's make it abundantly clear to Warner Brothers, however, that we do want that Snyder cut. All right, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. People are going to say it, and you're not going to drag it out. I'm telling you now, if people are going to put their foot down and their money down. So, you know, Warner Brothers, it might be in your best interest to get that cut out as soon as you possibly can. Okay, the sooner you get that cut out, the better, because people don't already, you got trust issues already. You got some serious trust issues, and that's your fault. You set a precedent where you started advertising the film one way and it comes out another way, and the things that you see in the advertisement are not in the film. You did that to yourself. Ain't nobody do that to you. So if I was you, all right, I know you guys are thinking about it, and that's why you're not hustling to do no Aquaman ads and that kind of stuff. I know that James Wan's Aquaman is going to be fine. I know I'm going to enjoy it. You know, everything that DCU has put out, I've enjoyed. But at the same time, everybody doesn't feel like how I feel. A lot of people feel betrayed. A lot of people feel robbed by you. And if you want to get everybody back on board and everybody as team players so everybody can push so they can expand the DCEU and you can expand your fan base, I suggest very strongly, in lieu of what happened with Infinity War, I would suggest very strongly that you put out the Snyder Cut. Put it out. Get it out there. All right? And we'll let us be the judge of what we think about it. But get it out there, Warner Brothers. That's what I got to say. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat section before I get on my way. Wow, it's really dark. Look at that. I know my light is blown, so I'm in the dark right now, folks. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat section. Dave, Ethan, hey there, everybody. Tommy Temper says, just love the passion. Ah, yeah, no problem, man. You know, sometimes we have to, you know, your name is Tommy Temper. You know, you from Ireland. You know how it is, my bro. We have to sometimes be passionate about what we're saying so people get the point across that what, you know, sometimes they put their foot in their mouth. They go stepping, talking about things they have no idea about, you know, and then it takes the people who actually know what they're talking about, know what is really going on to correct these people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, man, you know, these people, man, they be walking around, they feel great because, you know, Kevin Feige, he has been successful at doing various things. You know, he's been successful at making money with the MCU, but he does not understand there's a lot of people who don't watch his MCU. A lot of people don't watch his MCU. So he's saying, you got to be like me. No, we don't want to be like you. We want the DCU to be its own entity, to be its own thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I would prefer if he would just keep quiet about the DCEU, because he cannot help the DCEU. He does not manage the DCEU. I would suggest he just watch and observe, you know, like he has been doing, you know, successful with your brand. If your brand is really successful, then somebody will emulate your brand. But the people in the DCEU, most of the people in the DCEU do not care for your brand. That's why they're in the DCEU, because they found something that they actually enjoy. Now, your brand has produced movies like Black Panther, produced movies like Captain America, The First Avengers, produced movies like Iron Man. You know, those were some good movies. You know, The Winter Soldier was, you know, it was all right. All right. A lot of people hype it up. I don't feel the same way. It's just like with the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't feel anything for the Dark Knight trilogy. A lot of people like it. I don't particularly. It's not my thing. Some people see merits in it, but I personally don't particularly vibe it. I find it boring and dry. Nonetheless, the point is that he has been successful with his brand. All right. But how you were successful with your brand doesn't mean that it translates over to what other people are trying to do with their brand. You see, the one thing that I could take from Kevin Feige is they have always been consistent, and their fan base has been consistent in holding fast to what they believed in. The Warner Brothers and DCU, especially the executives of there, they've always been meandering about. So Zack did Man of Steel. They didn't let Zack do what he wanted to do on Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. They should just let the dude do what he wanted to do and put out the movie he wanted to put. Instead, they bucked and said, "Oh no, you need to cut that movie down in time and rephrase it. You know, just shorten it up." And that was stupid. And they did it again with Suicide Squad. They went, you know, David Ayer was putting out a certain kind of movie. No, we're gonna do this there, and they changed up the man's movie. All right, not a whole lot, but they changed up your movie. Why are you doing that? Don't compromise the guy's movie. Then they go with Justice League and they do the same thing. All right, Patty Jenkins hold them off on Wonder Woman, but they did the same thing with Justice League, right? Constantly changing their mind, trying to please everybody. Forgetting your fan base and trying to please everybody. Stupid. Stupid. It's from your fan base that you will expand. It's from your fan base that you will actually get other people coming in to appreciate your style and what you bring to the table. You got to be consistent in what you're doing. And so the MCU has been consistent. DCU has not been consistent because of these executives. They just keep on changing up everything. Oh, we need to change this and change that and change this and change that. So people are not used to anything. So here we are anticipating Justice League to be a certain way, and you go change the musician, you go change the director, and you give it, and you change the feel of the movie. And then you expect people to turn around and say, "Good job, Warner Brothers." No, they're gonna cuss you out. They'll cuss you out. That's what you got, a good cuss out. And now you don't want to show up the Snyder Cut. Oh, because we want to go in a different direction. We're going to hold that back. They'll cuss you out more. You're stupid. People asking you for a certain thing, but you're bullheaded. And they've been this way. Warner Bros. Been this way since Tim Burton. Constantly feeling they need to dial back on the films, make them more jokey, sell toys. Stop it. Green Lantern failed. Batman and Robin failed. Superman Returns failed. How many times I got to fail for you to get the point? Stop it. That suggestion that Kevin Feige gives does not work for the DCEU. It doesn't. Walter Hamada, this will not work for the DCEU. Might work for that might work for Shazam, but you better keep Shazam grounded. You better keep Shazam grounded. It better be in a grounded world. Otherwise, it will flop. It will flop. It will flop. Because the fan base for the DCU and DC films has never been a hee-hee-ha-ha fan base. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy had zero, zip hee-hee-ha-has in it. Gotta understand what I'm saying. The Batman franchise was saved by Christopher Nolan because of that. The fan base Warner Brothers has is different to the fan base that the MCU has. That's the reality. You don't know your demographic, you're in deep doo-doo. So, if Walter Hamada, Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, and Company Limited have not gotten the memo that, one, you need to release the Snyder Cut, and two, the DCEU is different to the MCU, you will be in for a rude awakening. A very rude awakening. That's all I got to say about that. All right, so let's move on to but my point anyway is, when it concerns the Supreme Court decision to uphold the travel ban, that also is madness, xenophobia, and the end looks very much like what happened in Batman v Superman, where they kill the goose that lays the golden egg. The way how they are treating strangers within their gates because they want to preserve white privilege is frightening, but yet at the same time, it is also hurting them. Their trade war that they're trying to do with their allies, but embracing their enemies, shows us that this is no longer the US of A. We are talking about the USSR. You're just another demographic of Putin. Putin alienated himself from the United Nations Security Council, by his draconian measures when he tried to invade what's the name of that place? The Ukraine. He tried to invade the Ukraine. All right. I remember those of you who were in the 90s, the 1990s, when Clinton was in power, in Yugoslavia, we had the Croatians, all right, and the Bosnians, okay? And there was this ethnic cleansing going on where, again, the Muslims were being ethnic cleansed out of their own country because the Serbians and Croatians believed that they weren't true white people. They weren't true residents of their country. They came from outsiders. They were not white. This is the same rubbish we're seeing today in the United States of Russia. Sorry, I mean America. Sorry. Which is why it makes sense that, you know, this guy called Trump, his ally is Vladimir Putin, and he talks to him all the time. He's buddies with this dude because he's implementing the same policies. And we're talking policy here. So it's saddening and sickening that the Supreme Court would actually uphold this ban. And they say, oh, we tossed in Venezuela and we tossed in North Korea. What are you talking about, Muslim ban? It's not a Muslim ban. Yes, it is. You've been trying to push that for the longest while. You just pat it with two countries that don't usually go to you. North Koreans don't go into America. So having a travel ban on them is not a big deal. And the Venezuelans, they don't have money to go to America. Most of them are going to Mexico because their economy is in shambles right now. A lot of them come across to my little island, Trinidad and Tobago. There's a lot of Venezuelans here. They're not doing terrorist operations in my country. They're not a terror threat. The last time I looked, Venezuelans were on the Miss World and Miss Universe. There are people who win those pageants. And Donald Trump hosts Miss Universe. I mean, sorry, he sponsors that. That's his thing. So I don't really understand how Venezuelans, of all people, would be on a terror list. And there should be a travel ban. No, he's just padding. That's just padding. We know the nonsense that these people do. And we have to expose it for what it is. In Europe, and I know Tony Temple could testify to this because he's from Ireland. Irish people have been ostracized in England or in the United Kingdom, and they've been ostracized also in the United States of America. They know what it is to go under oppression too. So, and even the people who left, you know what's the irony of the situation? Let me tell you how ironical this is. The Puritans left England because of religious persecution and came to America. But those are people who do not know the American history. And it's very ironic that now because these people are Muslims, these people are being kept out of America. Even people who are fleeing Syria because to get asylum, these people now are considered Muslims, and it's on religious grounds that these people are denied access to America. It is the irony of ironies. It's ridiculous. This is the nonsense going on out here. If you know what it is to be ostracized and put under, and the poor whites in America, I feel sorry for them because they're probably one of the most alienated groups in America today. They're considered white trash. They have no affirmative action for them. They're like left out in the cold or dry. Nobody thinks about the white poor Americans now. Nobody thinks about these people. They're almost like outcasts. And the hillbillies up in the mountains. Those two groups, those demographics. I went to one community so poor. No business happening in their places. They have been forgotten. Okay? And this is the truth of the situation. So if Donald Trump, they're voting for Donald Trump, it's because he's manipulating them because he actually looked at them and said, you know what? I remember you guys. But he's using it to manipulate. But still, I'm glad he remembered them, because then I would never even have a discussion about them, because I wouldn't even be talking about them. But this is a reality, folks. This is what we're dealing with. And I feel for the poor white Americans. I really do. Because while I'm eating food down here and having it good, some of them are starving. And nobody knows they exist. How you like that? That don't make news. And that's the thing that hurts me, man. So yeah, they go with whatever other people say. And they're saying, man, they take our jobs. You're never going to get the job, white dude. You know you're never going to get it. But hey, yeah, they take our jobs. And if they get, you know, some food and clothes and they get into the military, they feel like somebody. And that is how the Nazis rose to power, folks. Some decent people who had been disenfranchised ended up doing atrocious acts because they really feel that somebody was listening to them. Somebody heard them. Somebody cared about them. That's how it all began, folks. So if you've ever watched any movie with the bad guy in the movie, he always plays to your pain. And if you know any Star Wars movie, the Sith Lord, he wants you to cuddle that pain and develop that pain and channel it into rage and anger. And basically that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's trying to channel the worst of us. And he feeds off of it. He gets stronger every time we're angry, hateful, filled with rage. It's demonic, but it is what he's doing. He knows he can stay in power once people are angry, disturbed, fearful, hateful. He knows he's going to stay in power. But if people turn around and start to be loving and kind, compassionate, yes, call him out. Call him out on his acts of evil and his treasonous behavior, his unpatriotic behavior. Call him out on that. Call him out on his lack of common decency and call out the people who support that. Don't brand people as evil, but call them out on their actions, on their policies. He can't feed off of the negative energy. That's all you guys got to do. Be vocal, like these people down here. Be vocal. Speak out. Let your voice be heard. If you got to vote on it, not because you're a Democrat or a Republican, vote on it based on humanity. Vote on it based on decency. Is this what you want for America? Is this what you want for your community? Is this what you want for your local gatherings? Is this how you want to interface with one another? Looking around your shoulder. Always looking at your neighbor to see if they do something wrong so you can report them to the KKK, to the Secret Service, to the secret government, to Big Brother. Is this what it's going to be? We betray one another. We divide one another. A policed state. Is this what you want? Ask yourself these simple questions. That was the dilemma. Everybody was trying to figure out with Superman. Was he going to become an autocratic ruler? What happens if he suddenly turns against us? Those were the fears. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Anything extra you want to do, I try to put off going to work. Yeah, kind of like me yesterday. I love that, Dave Ethan. You were fearless. You were fearless, Dave Ethan, yesterday. You took a stand against hate and for love. And you know, it actually brought about results. Hearing people talking about how they love BVS and they're not talking about Justice League anymore. and the negative things, the negative comments about Justice League have suddenly died down, Dave Ethan, because of your stand, because of one person's stand, because you count. Your voice means something out here. We use the broadcast waves for a lot of negativity, but we must also focus and use the broadcast waves to show the alternative, the positive possibilities, hope. Man, you, Dave Ethan, you're my Superman. You know what I mean? We have to do that, folks. And we have to call it like it is. We have to call it like it is. And there are a lot of well-meaning people who are genuinely interested in humanity. I am not talking about you who are genuinely interested in humanity and you give your contributions. There are many different ways to approach a thing. There's not a one fixed and fast way to approach something. So I'm not talking about you guys. There's no my way and the highway. There's not no one way to do something. There's many ways to do something. So we're not talking about you. If you're genuine in your heart, it's all good. Hey, man, Dave Ethan, I rock with you 24/7, brother. You come from a good place. You, Leroy Kong, and another brother. Who was it again? The other brother. And that guy loved both the MCU and the DCEU. Okay, and I know your heart's in a good place, Dave Ethan. You both like both types of movies. You're a comic book fan. I met a couple other people who are good comic book fans, and they just enjoy entertainment for what it brings. And let me just make this abundantly clear again, people. Whereas I was saying that, you know, the MCU, you know, I and some other people are not really particularly interested in it, doesn't mean that there are not DCEU fans who are interested in both. Dave Ethan is an example of one. Leroy Kong is an example of another. Okay. And they're DCEU fans to the day they die, but they also love both the DCEU and the MCU, and they enjoyed Infinity War, and they enjoyed every single of the MCU movie, and they also enjoyed every single DCEU movie. It can be done. It can be possible. All right? But just because that doesn't make me an enemy of Dave Ethan at all, because I think that's the kind of mindset you need to have. I don't have it because that's just not me. I don't, those kinds of movies don't necessarily appeal to me. Some of the MC movies, not all of the MC movies. You notice I said Black Panther appealed to me, and Captain America: The First Avenger appealed to me, and what was the other movie? I think that's about it. Yeah, those two basically appeal to me the most. Okay, the other MC movies, some of them are okay. I mean, Ant-Man was pretty okay. I kind of enjoyed it. Ant-Man was all right. Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming out just now, by the way, folks. Just do a little promo for the MCU there. What else was okay? There was another okay movie out there. I'm trying to remember what it was. That actually had, you know, a little something in it that I could look at. I can't remember what the other one was. Of course, outside of the MCU, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, I really love that movie. Some people don't love it. Some people just don't love it. And you know what? It's fair. It's fair game. You don't love it, you don't love it. You know what I mean? But I did. I love it a lot. And my point anyway is this, and I did like Solo as well. My point is this, for people to understand. We can have our different tastes in movies. The thing I have a problem with, as I said before, is hating on something and trying to destroy it. You know, I don't like Infinity War, but I'm not going to try and destroy it. That's when you know you're being destructive and you're not doing anything to help anyone. So I always believe that if you don't like something, don't talk about it. Focus on the things you like. And, you know, the things you don't like, unless they're things that are directly affecting you and you have to speak on them to expose the truth, you don't waste your time talking about those things. And so that's why I spent time. I just wanted to say, you know, I had to correct Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige is pushing his mouth in something that he does not even understand the demographics of it. He doesn't understand the market base for the DCEU. If he did, he wouldn't say what he said, right? So I'm just saying this to say that a lot of times, you know, my people going through rough times or whatever, like, you know, I personally may be going through a rough patch or whatever, and other people want to just come and throw their comments into the fray. They have no idea what is going on with me, the details of it or whatever, and they just open their mouth and say blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't personally take any offense to it, and I don't really take much note of it. But the point is that people can flap their gums if they want to, right? Doesn't mean that we have to listen to them. And you have to know your situation and what you're dealing with. You know, I always tell people, know your situation. Other people would like to give advice and advice. Everybody can give advice. Everybody has an opinion, right? Doesn't mean I have to take it. Doesn't mean I have to listen to it, okay? And this is the important thing I'm trying to say to people is you need to know your situation for yourself and what is needed to take your situation to the next level and what is needed so that you can utilize your situation as best as you need to. And you will know who's really a good contributor for your situation, who's not. You have to be able to discern these things as an adult and a person directing your own life. And so that's what I got to say about that. Waiting for Christ I Am Disciple, June 26, 4:06 p.m. What the hell? What's going on? It's very dark where I am here. Can you guys see me? Are you guys hearing this video? Am I on standby or something? Can everybody see what's going on? Can you see the screen here? Why the hell is this saying standby? Okay. It's just I needed to refresh it. Okay. Fine. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I want to wish you guys a great day. It's 5:21 p.m. in the afternoon. I may still go out and do some selling. I didn't do any selling for a couple of days. This will be my second day in the row, or third day. It will be third day in a row, I think it'll be. But I'll probably go and do something tomorrow for sure. This is somebody telling me, Nate Hassel commented, I really hope you watch this video back and realize how annoying eating during your video it is. This is a video about realism. And dude is telling me how annoyed he is. That's funny, man. Yeah, the last video I decided to go eat some stuff because I was hungry. I don't really care. Dude, he has to understand. Dude was like, you know, that video was annoying. I'm sorry, I'll try and not eat while I'm doing a video next time. But at the point in time, I just I just didn't care, man. I just picked up and I said, you know what, I need to go eat something. And I went and eat in the video. That's funny. I gotta go check out that video and see what you guys. Oh, by the way, I said at the end of this video that I would be plugging my the song. So again, once again, for those of you who are watching this video, he's got the whole world in his hands. It's there. I would love that you guys go and watch it. Leave your comments in the comment section below to that video. It's on my channel, so you just click my channel, go, you'll see the video, watch it. It's about what, 3 minutes long, 3-4 minutes long, so much. Okay, and go watch it because I want your feedback on it. There's something I'm trying to say in that video that I think a lot of people are going to miss. A lot of people literally missed it, and I had to show them. Even though the video says it at the end of the video, it actually tells you what the video is about. Still, a lot of people are going to miss it. And it just goes to tell you how much we are locked in our presumption of things. Just listening to it, it's a Negro spiritual, right? A lot of people are going to get caught up in, oh, it's a Christian song, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. And they're going to miss the point of the whole video because of their presumptions. Don't assume anything. Just go watch the video. When you're finished, leave some comments below about the video. You may want to watch the video 3, 4, 5 times. I'll tell you why. Because once you realize what this video is about, you're going to go looking for it. And then the next time you watch again, you're going to look for it even more. And you're going to see more and more things. That video has so much in it. It's not funny. But I really took my time and put it together with that in mind. With specific things in mind. You're going to see a lot of stuff you didn't see before. And I haven't even told everybody the half of what's in that video. So I would like you guys to go and watch that video. It's called He's Got the Whole World in His Hands. And it's a video which I'm singing in it. So it's me singing. Don't worry about the singing and all of that. You might be intrigued by the music. Some people get caught up in the musicality and be like, yes, I like the instrumental. I like the piano. or they like the voice. That's not why I did a video. Okay. Yes. Yes. Part of it is because I'm singing, but that is not the focus of the video is not just me. It's never really about me. It's always about something. I'm telling you about something. Okay. So don't get, you know what's the problem? People have been programmed to think a certain way. Music videos have been always about a personality. Show your face, show yourself, you know, that kind of nonsense. And a lot of times people are focused on people, idol worship. They focus on people and they talk about people. And, you know, they harmonize with emotions. That video, the video I'm showing you, is not about those things. It's about something else. Yes, it involves emotions. Yes, it involves people, but it is deeper than that. And I just hope that people would be able to open their minds to something bigger than that. You know, it's bigger than those things. And it's a nice little something that I think once you see it, now we can have a discussion on something else that I want to talk to you guys about. I really do. I really, really want to talk to you guys about this. It's something that I think is very important to understand. But we can't go there if you don't understand what the video is about, you know, because there's a lot more to life than all these other little things that we occupy ourselves with. So I just hope that you guys will go watch the video. Whoever ever watches this video to the end, like right now, I would recommend very highly you go and watch the video. You know what? Let me show you what the video will look like. Okay. Is my computer frozen up or something? No. Okay. Why are you giving me a hard time? Close. Oh God. Right now, okay. Wow. Wow. Like really? Right now, my computer is kind of frozen up in a certain place. Hit the escape button. Always some negative energy somewhere, man. Always some negative energy. Okay. I know you guys are seeing all of this right now. Okay. Finally. Got rid of that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let me show you guys what I wanted to show you guys here. This is popping up. Oh, man. Talk about. Okay. Okay. See this song here? This is what you're looking for. Looking for that. I'm in backdoor. I'm in my backdoor office so you can see it. So you're looking for something like this. This is my backdoor office. All right. You're looking for something like that. Go look for that video and you'll find it. So, okay. There you go. Okay. You see we're live now. Right. So it's somewhere here. Okay, there it is. All right. So check out that video. I want you guys to check it out. I really have a passion for that. So I want you guys to check it out, see it. And I want you guys view on it. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. I want you guys view on that video. All right. Okay, man, peoples. I got to get out of here. You guys have a great one. Okay, that's closed down. Great. I'm out. Peace.